I have exactly 26 hours to come up with a Christmas present for my friend. I know this sounds short, but we're gonna have to speedrun it. This means that I cannot mess up, and I have to get everything right on the first try. My friend rolls his cigarettes, so I'm going to be making a rolling case, a tobacco case, that he can take out and it looks nice and all the things that are needed for something like that is contained within. I spent about an hour coming up with the final design, and this is what I settled on. I decided on including rolling papers, the short ones and the long ones too, also filters and also a case of tobacco. I purchased some of this beautiful leather that I'm going to be making the case out of. Alright, so now we have the plans and all the materials, so ain't nothing to it but to do it. At this point I'm about 24 hours in, so all I have is a day to complete this project. I measure everything carefully and come up with a sewing pattern that I can follow. Precision is of the utmost importance. If I mess anything up, it will show in the final result. These pieces of cardboard will be the stencils from which I will cut out my leather pieces. I've sewn a couple of purses in the past, so I think that this design might work, and I make sure to double check everything on the way. Okay, stencils are done. Now let's move on to the leather. And I seriously need to speed up because I have only 20 hours left. Buying the leather was a pain, and it took about 2 hours to go to the shop, buy it, come back home and prepare it. But thankfully I had a couple of small leather pieces from some shinier material that I also wanted to include in the project. I think the contrast between shiny and matte will look great. Here you can see the color of this second piece of leather, and it has a beautiful chocolate brown dark hue which looks absolutely amazing in my opinion. I take care to waste as little material as possible, mainly for the ethical reasons of working with leather. I do not want the animal to have died in vain. With precision, you have to make a trade-off. If you take too long, then you won't be able to finish the project, and if you are too quick, then it probably won't be as precise as you want it, and you probably generate a lot more waste material. So I aim to strike the perfect balance between time and precision. Even though leather is a hard material to work with, and it twists and it stretches, it is one of the most satisfying things you can do. Thankfully, I have made up some time, and cutting all the pieces out and preparing their edges and also making sure everything fits together nicely only took about an hour's worth of time. This means that I have more room for error on the sewing phase, and little did I know, but I was going to need it. I seem to have a tendency to set myself these challenges, and that is why I created this channel, because I seem to get everything right on the first try, and I want to be humbled and I want to fail. At this point I was pretty confident. I have 19 hours left and all the sewing can be done in a matter of about 5 or 6 hours. So I think the project is going to be a success. But I miscalculated and I forgot about one small detail. Okay, now all the leather is cut, and I need to sew it together. But I miscalculated. You know, I don't mind burning the midnight oil, but my neighbors do. And leatherwork is pretty loud. My left door neighbor is a bus driver. He has to wake up at 2 in the morning. So that means work can't continue until tomorrow. Yeah, it's pretty loud. but I'm going to be pushing my luck a bit, since this has to be completed by tomorrow evening. Let me tell you a little bit more about the deadline. Me and my friends organize a secret Santa party every year, and the deadline is before Christmas, so we need to prepare Christmas presents about 10 days ahead of time. I'm going to be making every seam with this leather sewing string. I ended up using red. Man, I'm glad I could complete some loud work before my neighbor went to sleep, and I can get a head start on tomorrow's sewing today. These first couple of stitches are not so critical, and they are mostly for the purposes of design and also to stop the leather from stretching and burling on the edges. This small piece you see me doing now is going to be the holder for the small rolling cigarette papers. The plan is to be able to slide the whole paper pack under this small flap and to have the papers be ejected from the slit cut on the leather strip. My main goal with this is to get a consistent tension throughout the leather piece. That is important because otherwise it will look sloppy and kind of uneven, and that is not what I'm going for. The last piece of preparation for tomorrow is going to be gluing all the completed leather flaps onto the main body piece of the purse. This will give the glue time to dry and for me some time to prepare for tomorrow. And after this I'm going to bed because it's 11 o'clock, I have 17 hours left and tomorrow is going to be a tough day. Okay, here we go. It's 6 in the morning, time to get this thing done. Now it's time for the real speedrun. I slept about 7 hours, it's 6 in the morning, and I only have about 10 hours to complete this. Since I do not have any other neighbors, I can start with the loud stuff. I hammer the holes around the perimeter of each little piece that I'm going to be gluing to one of the main bodies of the purse. And here's the completed product. And everything fits perfectly. Both papers are accessible, so the small one and the big one too, and also the cardboard filter tips are accessible too. I think it looks great. Now it's on to the other side, and this is going to take a bit more time, but I came up, I think, with a cool looking design. I wanted to have something that could hold all the carbon filter tips, and I came up with this leather strip that is rolled into like these small channels. And the other side that you can see me sewing on right now is for a Zippo lighter. And I think that this rubber material will hold it steady and hopefully you will be able to close the whole thing. But I'm not quite sure. So it's trial and error, and 9 hours remain. Alright, all the modules are completed. Now it's time to sew the whole thing together. But this is the last chance to test it and see if everything fits perfectly. And I do mean perfectly. If it's too big or too bulky, then I can't move forward. So let's try it. Okay, first is the filter heads. And that's a great fit. Awesome. Now for the small paper. And you can see me struggling a bit because it's a tight fit, but I think it's doable and it looks great. Okay, last one, the big papers. And done. Great stuff. Now let's check the other side, the carbon filters. And it's pretty tight, but awesome. It grips strong. Now let's see the whole thing together. Looks good. But the real question is, will it close? Aw man, that's way too big and bulky looking. This is not gonna work. But I think I have an idea. I'm gonna cut off the top and glue on, or I mean hammer on, some magnetic clamps. I think it's gonna look great. I seriously hope it's gonna look great because I don't have any alternative. Okay, I cut it off and it looks okay. I think I can manage with this. It closes good and it's not so bulky as before. Now it's onto the magnetic clamp. I hammer on both sides and this is pretty tough. The time pressure is starting to get to me and I miss by a little bit, but I don't think that it's noticeable. So I'm going to move forward and let the mistakes be happy little accidents. Oh man, that was tough, and correcting that mistake has cost me a great amount of time. I only have this many hours left. So I need to get it prepared and packaged and test it out if it works. Man, this is gonna be tough. Glue on. Pressure supplied. Glue on. More pressure. Let dry for 1 hour. Hammer around the edges. 3 strikes per. Precision and control. Sewing holes done. I don't have time to clean everything up. I only have 2 hours to sew this thing together and it's gonna be tight. Each hole after the next is filled with string and equal amount of pressure is applied on both ends to get a consistent and good look. I've only poked myself like 15 times, so it's pretty fine. As you can see, I'm slowly descending into madness as I'm finishing this up. But thankfully, I completed the last knot. And there you go, the project is finished. Now, before I show you the final reveal, I would like you to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy my content. I have about 40 minutes left and I need to get going to the party. But first, let me show you some beauty shots. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please comment if you have thoughts about this project or how I could have made it better. Like and subscribe and see you next time. Bye bye.